This is 5 on your side at 5. Focused on you.
Right now, we are tracking rain and a few strong storms in the bi-state. It is why we are in storm alert at 5. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm Kelly Jackson.
And I'm Brent Solomon in for Ann Allred. As well as those storms, our Weather First team also tracking some colder temperatures moving in for the weekend. Let's check in with meteorologist Jim Castillo. Hey, Jim.
Hi, guys. Yeah, very active out there right now. And if you get stuck under one of these downpours, you get the street flooding going on and you get the very loud noises against the windows and very strong wind gusts to about 30 miles an hour, 40 miles an hour in some cases. But one severe cell that was earlier in Winfield, which is Lincoln County, we had a gust of 52 miles an hour, but that actually is not even severe limit. So we're watching these cells again, moving, zooming in a little bit here, right around Centerville and Signal Hill there, and Caseyville in Illinois. Some very heavy rain. Another one redeveloped right over St. Louis. And the strongest we could find right now is around northern Montgomery County and northeastern Macoupin County, with some very heavy rain and also some frequent lightning up there. A little bit of rotation in this. This is not severe at this point, but some gusts to about 40 miles an hour can be expected. Then we zoom out the shot a little bit more into the south and west. These cells from Arnold south and westward to Steelville seem to be weakening, but you can see the City SC Stadium there looking down market to the Arch. It is raining very heavily. And look at this. There's the front. You can see that green moving into Chesterfield. That is the cooler weather. 66 degrees right now. And of course, we're talking about some freezing temperatures for next week. Much more on that in just a few minutes.
All right, Jim, stay close. For the very latest Weather First forecast, text the word weather to 314-425-5355.
Tonight, the manhunt continues for the man accused of shooting and killing 18 people in Maine. Robert Card has been on the run since the shootings at a bowling alley and bar Wednesday night.
His family says he had mental health problems in recent months and was even hearing voices. CNN's Mike Valerio has the latest on the search tonight.
With a mass shooting suspect at large, tight-knit communities living under lockdown are unable to grieve together, with shelter-in-place orders required for nearly 700 square miles of Maine.
I feel very lucky to be in my room, safe and sound. I know that I had friends that weren't so lucky and had to spend the night in the library or the dining hall.
Authorities, local, state, and federal, searching land, air, and water for the suspect, 40-year-old Rob Carr.
A tremendous amount of law enforcement manpower, time, and effort is being utilized around the clock.
Federal investigators launched a, quote, dynamic entry search at the suspect's last known address and say they've seized a cell phone and a note left behind by the suspect.
Every minute that this goes on, we're more and more concerned, because what's the next thing that's going to happen?
Neighbors of the now wanted mass killing suspect say they are shocked.
It just didn't seem like that kind of individual. Like I said, people have problems, but you don't expect them to go off the deep end like that.
People are now speaking about their lost loved ones, like Leroy Walker, who says his son Joseph died a hero trying to stop the shooter at the bar and grill he worked at with a butcher knife.
Pray for everybody. Pray for the people that passed away with my son. Pray to the Lord that this doesn't happen again in our community.
In Lewiston, Maine, Mike Valerio, 5 on your side.
And much more on this developing story after our newscast on NBC Nightly News. We'll continue to update the story on air, on the 5 on your side app, and online at ksdk.com.
Tonight, a St. Louis County police officer is charged with sexual assault in Madison County. Gavin Podast is accused of a sexual assault in Edwardsville. He was arrested last month. He'd been an officer with the county since December of 2021. County police tell us he was put on unpaid administrative leave today.
General Motors, Stellantis, and the United Auto Workers Union could be closer to a deal, ending a nearly 6-week-long strike. It comes after a tentative agreement between the union and Ford. Workers have been on strike pushing for better pay and benefits, and this includes workers at the GM plant in Wentzville. Sources tell CNBC there were talks between the union, GM, and Stellantis overnight, and more negotiations expected today.
Gonna switch gears a little bit and talk about sports because excitement is building in St. Louis. City SC will make its playoff debut this weekend in the team's first Major League Soccer season.
And the first game against Sporting KC is Sunday at City Park. Our Justina Coronel spoke with the team CEO. She joins us in studio with much more. Justina.
Yeah, so Carolyn Kendall tells me she is so proud of this team and she's happy for all the support St. Louis has given to them this season. Now, we caught up with her earlier today at Balkan Treat Box in Webster Groves. Now, this restaurant is actually one of the local food partners with City SC. Now, she was dropping off more posters for the upcoming match. Now, inside the restaurant, it was packed with people and visible support for the soccer team with pops of red throughout the restaurant. Kendall talked about the team's success of finishing first in the Western Conference and making it to the playoffs in its first year. She also talked about the achievements beyond that. Partnerships with local food vendors mean small businesses can also thrive.
We know that over half of our fans that visit a stand in the stadium will go to the brick and mortar to continue to support those small business owners, and that's what we wanted, that's what we need, and we're so happy that that plan is working.
Now, the game will take place this Sunday at 9 o'clock, and the following game is on November 5th. This is a best of 3 series.
All right, thank you, Justina. And we have more about the playoffs on KSDK.com. For that information, just text the word city to 314-425-5355. More changes could be coming to elections in St. Louis.
That's right. The city switched over to what's called approval voting back in 2020, but that brought about some confusion at the ballot box. Political editor Mark Maxwell here to explain the new changes that could be coming.
That's right, Brent and Kelly. This is a change that could save taxpayers money, according to estimates from the Board of Elections. The whole point of approval voting is to whittle the field of primary candidates down to the top 2. They advance to a runoff in the general election. But what happens when you only have 2 candidates to start with? Voters would have to show up at a meaningless primary contest and then do it all over again in the general. On top of being redundant, some politicians felt frustrated that maybe it gave their opponent a publicly funded poll, as it were, giving them some edge or some idea on where they needed to focus their efforts before the real thing. Now, after a vote at the Board of Aldermen this morning, the city could scrap that primary election and collapse it into the general, only in races that just have 2 candidates on the ballot.
We had heard from a lot of folks that they did not understand why they were having to go to the polls to vote for the same 2 candidates twice. And so we look at this as some cleanup. Hopefully it'll make things a little bit easier for residents in our city and and cut down on some of that waste of having to run twice.
The Board of Aldermen sent those changes to Mayor Jones' desk, but her office says they're still reviewing them. If she signs it into effect, the next city election it would impact would be March 2025. That's when Mayor Jones will be on the ballot.
Mark Maxwell reporting tonight. A software issue that led to thousands of car thefts in our area. Kia drivers now able to get the fix for free this weekend.
A casting call in St. Louis. New details about a movie being filmed here in our city.
Plus, Consumer Reports with some laundry cleaning tips that you may not know about.